Hi. So lately I've been paying attention on helping other people and myself, and there's one thing during the session that seemed to be helping a lot, and that's the step of getting your missing soul fragments back. Now, there's a lot to the subject, but let's try to make it simple. Imagine that as a consciousness, a long time ago, maybe you, me, and everyone else on planet Earth, we all were once one. And a long time ago, the consciousness was one being. That's what we probably call the source. This is not a place, but a beingness of who we are, or at least used to be. And that's still there. This is also your overself, your higher self, your divine inner self, and all that. And consciousness, if the consciousness lived for billions and billions of years, it explodes. And all of a sudden it explodes to billions pieces, maybe even more, quintillions. And every single part is still the same consciousness, except now it's experiencing life from different point of views simultaneously. And every bit of that consciousness can land into all kinds of realms, planets, and places. So me, I'm part of that consciousness, you were also part of that consciousness, and everyone here on planet Earth is also part of that consciousness. So what happens as consciousness who's one, we split again and again and again. And for example, Wes Penry sometimes talks about how once you are dead, your consciousness will blow into lots of pieces of consciousness. So it splits again and again and again. And I wouldn't say it's not necessarily happening after death, but it can happen in everyday life. And there are lots of ways how we can lose it. So as a being, you are full. You are godlike being. You have all these personalities, but life happens. And there's one of the ways to lose it is basically reject it yourself. You can go through life and maybe as a kid we have certain personality, we have certain actions, we're moving through life and all of a sudden, maybe you're with your sibling, maybe you're with your friends and they're like, hey look, take this slingshot and shoot a bird. And you're like, okay, seems like fun. And you're trying to take this rock and use a slingshot and hit the bird. Or maybe you're planning taking rocks on the rails and the train's gonna come over and you're gonna see what happens. Or maybe you're a kid and you're gonna have fun and use Tic Tacs or Mentos or some kind of candies, and you switch your grandma's pills for her health into some sweets, and you watch what happens. And all of a sudden grandma gets ill, and you were probably the one. Not saying it happened, but it's a possibility, or what if, and as a kid you do something silly. But that silly ends up being an action that changes your life, and you're like, oh my god, what have I done? And you really either hate yourself, or you get on really bad on yourself, or never again will I do this sort of thing. And it's not necessarily that you've done something bad. Maybe you were really talkative, maybe you were into singing, and you're in a car with your parents, and you're singing all the way, and your parents Jesus Christ, enough already, you are not the professional. And they try to shut you up, and they say hey, you suck, you cannot sing, or they just they get annoyed for a little moment of time, and they say something, they snap at you, and all of a sudden, that creativity you've had, your personality, your passion, your singing, all of those things you've had, you're and you shut up, and you clam up inside, and all of a sudden you start believing what other people say. That's the sort of voice inside your head that talks all negative. You suck, you clumsy, you can't do this, you can't do that, and all those negative things. You keep repeating that inside your head, and maybe it's not you. Maybe it's anyone else's voice. And imagine there's this little entity or being who copies that and keeps repeating that to you. And every day you wake up and you hear that you clumsy, you cannot write, you cannot create, you cannot dance, you cannot do this. Tons of things that'll basically put you in a place where you I'm really bad at this. And you start believing that voice. It's not you, but you start believing it, taking it as if it's true. And what happens once as a kid, you were really creative, you had your passion, you had your, lots of things, your interests, your all these hobbies and things you wanted to do, and something happens, life or our parents or something snaps, and boom, all of a sudden you start rejecting that part of yourself. You start believing that you're not creative anymore, or maybe something happens and you're from now on I will make this change, it's never gonna happen again, and you make a decision, and that decision is basically when you start rejecting yourself. But not just your personality, but who you are, your consciousness, your awareness. And in that, as a kid, it might seem like a minor thing, oh, I messed up, well, never again, I'll make sure that from now on I pay attention. And all of a sudden, you lose a part of yourself. That creativity, that passion, something that was like very dear and close to you. That courageousness, that like ability to go and do no matter what anyone else might say. And all of a sudden, as a kid, you reject a part of yourself. It's invisible. You cannot see it, but you feel it. What you've had once you were a kid is now gone. And now you've grown up, and all of a sudden, like, oh, when I was a kid, I had that, but now, like, when I was really bad, and you get down on yourself. That's not your fault. And sometimes we're the ones consciously rejecting ourselves and consciously rejecting part of who we are for real. And maybe as a kid, you have the ability to get out of body. You have the ability to remember your past lives. But you wake up and it's as if you had a nightmare. It was terrible. You had to confront it. And as a kid, you have these vivid dreams, but it's actually you get out of body and you experience a lot. Maybe you see some entities. Maybe you have the ability to perceive more than anyone else. And your parents will come and say, like, hey, stop lying. It's just a dream. It's just a nightmare. Don't worry. And they start pushing, like, they start pushing you into, hey, stop. It's just a nightmare. Like, don't talk about it. Maybe you can see more than other people. Maybe you can hear more. Maybe you can perceive more. And all of a sudden, when you tell other people, like, hey, well, there's this person in our room, or maybe I'm seeing dead grandma, or maybe you're seeing someone else, maybe you can hear them and interact with them, people don't believe because they cannot see that or perceive that. And all of a sudden, they start pushing you. So the abilities that you can have as a kid, to get out of body, to remember past lives, your sixth sense and all those things, people are pushing you into like, hey, don't do that. You're lying, you're crazy. Because they cannot perceive it, they cannot accept as if it's true. They think you're crazy. And so, okay, you're trying to please your parents, you try to please people around you, and you reject the part of yourself that can get out of body. That can have all those abilities, that can have the third eye open, the psychic telekinesis and all those things. You start rejecting it because you want approval from your parents or people around you. And all of a sudden, maybe, as a kid, you actually were really, really good at it. To get out of body, remember past lives, all those sixth sense and all those things. And all of a sudden, you try to fit in and you push those parts away. And maybe nowadays you think yeah, when I was a kid, I could actually see those things. I could see other beings, I could perceive their thoughts and hear it in my head, and I would know what other people think. But I had to fit in, I had to be a part of my family, so I sort of rejected the part. Now it's gone. And you're trying really hard nowadays to get it back, but it's just not there. That's one way. We as kids sort of rejected, right here, we try to fit in, we try to make a better life, we try to make decisions, we try to adjust to this kind of world. But we don't need to adjust. It's like, the world thinks we're crazy, but no, they just don't understand that. And people are afraid of what's unknown to them. So, there's that. As a kids, or as young people, or even nowadays, maybe you're doing something and, maybe you find someone you love and all of a sudden you have to change in the relationship, you have to find the compromise in the relationship, maybe you have to change who you are or the things you do in a certain way, and okay, maybe right now I'll try to be cleaner or different things, and you pay more attention, but you sort of change your personality to fit in that sort of relationship, or in life, or in your career, or your work, wherever. But you sort of change yourself, and you start rejecting that other part. And it could be anything. The good, the bad, being messy, or being really clean up, and you can be really into cleaning things, and everything's gonna be super clean around you, but you get in a relationship where you have to clean every single day, and it gets so boring that you're like, I give up. I just cannot do it anymore. And you start accepting the reality where you're not clean anymore, you don't do that, and you're now lazy, dirty, and all of a sudden, and you start agreeing to other people. And this way, we can start rejecting of who we are, our consciousness. And that part of you, that one beingness, leaves. And it can hang out close to you, or that part itself can split into more parts. Those parts can go into other realms and start their own life, have their own body. Or they can just wait for you. They can go into safe surroundings where no one's gonna harm them, and they can wait. Maybe they want to be part of you. But those parts of you, it's still part of you, and it's still conscious, and it's still thinking, except it has a certain kind of personality that you might have rejected. Or the ability to get out of body, the ability to remember more, the ability to have great memory, all those things. It's a possibility. So, now in life, it can happen every day. But then again, other people around you can scare part of yourself. They can be pushy with, like, we have narcissistic people, we have psychopaths and sociopaths and all those different things. And their characteristics are, like, really harsh. And they get pushy. And they push you in a place where, like, you start giving up. You start, like, playing by the rules. Like, narcissists will always be right. Narcissists will always do certain things. And no matter what, society will accept them. But you're wrong, no. And all those things. So you sort of give up of who you are, your personality. But it's not necessarily you make a conscious decision, but you're being scared by that, like, other being, the stronger, like, dominating, like, he's trying to control, he or she is, like, being really controlling and, like, aggressive and all those things, and they can play sweet, and, like, we have this sort of I think Stockholm syndrome, where they can abuse you, and at the same time you will feel like you're responsible and you have to defend the abuser. It happens a lot, and it's not good. But, it happens. So, okay, we can be in love with them, we can, like, feel respect or something, and we have the attachment to the person, and they can abuse us again and again and again. But what happens, at a certain time, the abuser will scare part of who you are, will scare away the confidence, the passion, the ability to do something by yourself, the ability to control your own life, all those things. And all of a sudden, okay, the person can leave at any time, for example. But the person scared away of who you really are. And now you're left with being broken, being scared, being shy, being a mess, not being able to control your life and all those things. And you're stuck with your messed up personality and you're like, what happened? I used to be this sort of person. I remember I have this passion. I remember when I was like this and this. And you remember what you were like. But now you're really messed. And you're like, I don't remember, like, why did I change? And you, like, sort of question yourself when you get down on yourself for being, like, messed up and all. But it's not your fault. Beings around you, people around you can scare those parts away. And if they come really harsh, they can scare away of you being confident, of you being able to be in control of all those things. And, it's not necessarily you letting it go, but now it's people around you that scare those parts away, and now it's gone. And then there's this harsher side. If those were sort of maybe new to my content, I'll just, like, talk to my community, but imagine that we're not alone. We have our entities and beings around us that we probably are not able to perceive. Sometimes they're thought forms. Sometimes it's just what other people say. And you can have a normal day, but, all of a sudden, what if the world turns around you and against you? And all of a sudden, everything is going wrong. You have no control, things are going bad again and again and again, you cannot meet up with certain people, you're always being abandoned, you're always being, like, mistreated, and all those things are happening. And you start questioning, like, why me? Why is this happening? Like, it's always going wrong, and it's nothing in, genetics, it's nothing in your family, it's not karma, it's none of that. But there are beings who are trying to get off on our negative energy. The more we suffer, the more we feed those beings. And it can be little parasites, little bacteria in our body, but also there are beings around us. There are beings who will be here to make us feel bad. So they will try to bait you. And baiting is basically, they're going to drop you a bait. And that bait will be like, okay, I'm going to do something and it feels good at the moment, but when you do it, it actually plays against you. And it really messes you up. And now you sort of, you thought this was a good idea, you take an action, and it messes you up. And you're really bad, you feel bad, you feel depressed, or anything like that. So what happens? We have these entities and other beings who will mess with us. And their goal is not just to get the luge or our negative energy, but also be here constantly, every single day, every single hour, minute, and second. And their mission is to steal those parts of yourself so slowly, one by one, so that you would not notice. So you can live a normal life, and you can have a passion for something, you can have a great career, you can have, like, all these sort of strong feelings that will, like, drive you and, like, be this sort of driving force in your life. Your discipline, your determination, your, like, perception, your patience, all those things that probably are helping you in your life, and you have sort of great ability to live. And what these entities do, they will try to set up things around you, trigger people around you, because if they cannot trigger you, they will try to mess with your surroundings so that eventually it would get to you. And we cannot control our surroundings, but we can control ourselves, and that's the main thing. But these entities will mess with us as much as they can. And their goal is to not just get the luge, but also extract those parts of personality. Because if you are a strong being, you are a threat to them. They are afraid to you because you can harm them. You can get rid of them. And you can make your life great. You can help other people. You can make a difference. You can leave this world and help the humanity and the whole multiverse. And they don't want that. They want you to be enslaved here, use you as a cattle so that they could just harvest your energy and use you as a little thing that again and again and again, which is why people reincarnate. It's its trap. So, that being said, some entities will try to mess with us and basically you can live a normal life. And okay, today something bad happened, but minor thing. Tomorrow something bad happens, but it's a minor thing. Then day after tomorrow and day after day, week after week, month after month. And you haven't noticed how you kind of lost your passion, your ability to be creative, your mood to write, to create, to do something, and all of a sudden something you had that was driving you, something that you loved, your passion for music, for dancing, for creating, for something, for maybe even playing video games or watching movies or something, for life, for living and being good and doing something that makes you feel better in this world. And all of a sudden, that part that you've had is not here anymore. And those are the entities that will basically be here with us and try to harvest that part of you, their personality, that consciousness of who you are, one by one. Maybe it's your ability to get out of body. Maybe it's your ability to remember your dreams or your travels out there in the multiverse. Maybe it's the entity that will steal your ability to remember your past lives, to take control of your life, to have the visuals and perceive more than normal people can. And the thing is, I think all the people have the ability to perceive much more. It's just that we accept that, this is what humans are supposed to see, and we agree to this sort of reality. But also these entities, they will try to second that ability. Second your ability to, have this sort of sixth sense, intuition, to even okay, you can relax, you can quiet your mind, you can enter this meditative state. But what you do is you can visualize the future of something, and what you do is you get in the place where you are doing remote viewing, or maybe some healing techniques or energy work, and they don't want that. They don't want you to get good at that. So these entities will take that ability one by one and sort of harvest it and take away and kidnap that part of you. You can have the ability to get out of body, but sometimes, when we're doing astral projection, that astral body can get kidnapped. And those entities will be there to okay, we're gonna secure it and we're gonna mess with that body. So what happens over the life, long story short, you live a life, and once you used to have personality of yourself that you liked, that is really helping you, it's driving you, maybe it's confidence, maybe it's the better communication skills, maybe it's feeling great in your relationship, maybe feeling great about yourself, having strong self-esteem, being creative, all those things that you can have in your life, maybe something that you used to have. And nowadays, you don't have it, and you feel depressed, and weak, and alone, and all those things are really harsh, and life is just getting on top of you, and it's overwhelming. And it's really harsh. So that being said, I do sessions with people and soul contract session, and there's step 6 or 7 where you are getting back your energy, your life essence, and your soul fragments. But you don't have to do the session and work for over a few hours to get those parts back. It's simple. You can sit down right here or wherever you are, in the car, in the bath, or whatever, and what you do is relax and think of the part that you used to have. Or maybe the part that you want to have. Maybe you haven't lost anything, but you would like to build up yourself more. You are the creator. It's basically you are the programmer of your life. You are the creator of the game, your character, and you are the character in this game of life. And you can create yourself at any time. You can edit your character. So now you're sitting, and now you're okay, my life is great. Maybe everything's fine with your life. Maybe you have everything you want, but you would like more success. You would like to be more rich. You would like to have something else. Or maybe something is missing. Maybe you want more confidence, more self-esteem, more creativity, more something. So what you do is you relax and think about the part you want. Or maybe you used to have and you would like to have it back. And you focus on get in touch with what it's like. Get in touch with what it used to be like, if you can. I used to be confident, and I could have, I could make great decisions, I could act really fast, and I could be really decisive. Or maybe, I want to be really good at making money fast. I'm successful, rich, and everything's going my way. And you sort of get in touch with that feeling. But the thing is, we're all part of the consciousness. Me, you, and everyone else. And every bit of the consciousness that can be in the multiverse, it's still you. Me and everyone else. So you can talk to yourself. or that part of yourself, or some part that you used to have. And what you do is like, you don't have to say it out loud if you want to, but it's your preference, but just focus on the part of you used to have. And in your mind, you can have a communication with them, like, hi, I really like this for personality, like maybe something you want to get, or maybe something you used to have, or maybe like, maybe it was taken away from you, maybe you were the one who rejected the part. So you get in touch with that, and you're like, okay, this is sort of decisiveness, or maybe having like great speaking, like public skills, because that's what I need, having more kind of front, having more like, decisiveness, having more, better sort of stronger personality. And what I do is like, I get in touch with that feeling, I get in touch with that personality, and basically invite it here. And some people say like, don't do this, you're gonna invite some entities and stuff like that. But here's the thing. Part of you, who you are, your consciousness, it's like a defensive shield. And you can create rules of who can come close, and who can enter, and who cannot. Imagine the sort of shield around you. I'm going off topic, but there are some people who are like really crazy about this thing, but I've seen it work for myself and a lot of other people. And if you want to do this, you can try, but you don't have to if you're scared of entities or something else happening. So you can imagine a sort of shield around yourself, like this energy shield or bubble or whatever, and put rules of who can come close and who can enter. Maybe there are some entities who are trying to deceive you, who are trying to make you feel bad, wrong, guilty. Maybe there are entities who will harvest you or lie to you or something else, or like beings or whoever. But you could create rules of who cannot enter and be very specific. Any being that means you harm, any being that will deceive you, any being that will not help you at all, or maybe like come here and try to play nice, but eventually will like mess up with you. You create the rules of who cannot enter and who can. And that shield is like, it's your sovereignty, it's your sanctuary. And, you are the creator, you are the law here. And you create who can come and not. So you create a shield, and now, if you feel like, okay, I think it's gonna be good. And so basically you get in touch with that part. And the thing is, we as consciousness, we as godlike beings, you can feel who it is. You can feel if it's good or bad. And if you're calling something and you're like, oh yeah, like it feels okay, but it's kind of suspicious, and you still let it in, it's your fault, because you felt it. You had a sense, but you didn't trust it, and now all of a sudden your hunch goes and you fuck yourself. That can happen. But I think it's a minority, because for myself, I've helped myself a lot, and the people I've been working with, they did this sort of technique as well, and they had the thing. But okay, so you sit here, you focus on that part if you want to have or get back, and confidence, maybe like stronger self-esteem, maybe being more loving, maybe being successful. You get in touch with it. And you can communicate to it, like, you can invite it here, and maybe like, okay, the sort of like self-esteem, like, or great public speaking skills, personality, you're inviting the consciousness and the personality with it. So the beingness that has great public speaking skills, that has great confidence, and you can not just do one, but millions, as much as you can think of. And you can create as much as you want and invite that. And the thing is, like, for me, like, since I see visuals, sometimes it's like the whole waterfall or like a vortex, and it's like a vortex of little small bubbles, or like, small bubble of consciousness, or like however you see it. Just because I see it one way doesn't mean you're going to perceive it the same way. But I can see, like, imagine like just a vortex of like the little bubbles, and they make out this huge mass, and they keep coming back. And I just like give myself a moment to sort of get them all back through like my crown chakra and here, and just fill them up. And I feel the personality coming back. I feel the life, I feel the energy, and it fills me up, and it feels great. Maybe you want the ability to get out of body. Maybe you want the ability to remember your dreams or ubis or other experiences out there. You get in touch with it. Like, okay, yeah, what would it be like if you were able to get out of body? The ability to leave your body at any time. It's there. It's your personality. It's part of you. And if you lost it for some reason, maybe you had some sort of soul conscious agreement, maybe something happened in life and you rejected it, maybe entities or something happened. Or maybe you just never had it. What if? And so you focus on that part, like, okay, having the ability to leave the body at any time. And you focus on it, or, the ability, and like, okay, and you invite it back, like, the ability to get out of body. And you're talking to like a consciousness, like another being, like another part of you. And you're like, if you lost it, there's a sort of Ho'oponopono technique where you can, like, hey, I'm sorry in childhood I messed up, like I made a really bad decision, and please forgive me for rejecting you, for leaving you there. I'm really sorry about it, but I want to thank you for being there for me in my childhood, for like helping me, and know that I love you, and I would like really appreciate if you were to come back. It's like, the Ho'oponopono like is just like four like steps. I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. And this doesn't necessarily have to be in this sort of structure or like lining up, but you can do it in any kind of way, and that's an example. So you say sorry for whatever you might have done, or maybe sorry for letting other people in my life to scare you away, to to harm you, to push you away and all this stuff. And you can just think up of you or something, you scan your life and do it, and basically you invite them back. And sometimes those parts of you will not want to come back. Maybe they don't feel safe. Maybe they'll have hey, look, you have some sort of stuff going on in your life. I'm not gonna come over here. I'm not gonna be with you unless you fix this sort of things. And I've had parts of myself. I've had parts of my my loving parts. I've used to be super loving, but then life happened just messed me over again and again and again. And what happens okay, I've tried to get those parts back, and I literally get a thought hey, look. You need to fix a few things in your life, because if we come back, same stuff is gonna happen, and we're gonna get scared away, we're gonna get pushed away, and you're gonna be hurt. Fix your life, fix your surroundings, fix people around you, fix yourself, and then we can come. So some parts of yourself will have rules of when they can come. Maybe your ability or your personality who can get out of body will be hey, you're not willing to get out. You just want to, but you're not willing to work your ass off to receive that. So why would I be here? How about you work some time to show that you want to do it, and then we're gonna come, and then we're gonna help you. So there's lots of possibilities, but that's it doesn't happen all the time. It's not part of you will reject you and put all the rules of when they can come and what you have to do. Not really. It just happens sometimes. Another part, why some parts of you will not want to come back, is that they are in a realm and they've already started a life, and they're enjoying themselves here, or wherever they are, and they don't want to be here. They don't want to be here on Earth, and they might have a thing you get out from Earth, get away from here, and all of us will come back. We love you, we care about you, we think as well. We had a sort of hive mind because you are it and it is you and all of that, but hey, get out from Earth because it's a person planet. We don't want to be trapped there. So how about you get out and we all will meet up? Some beings will have the sort of rules of hey, they want to be here on Earth. They don't like it here. Why would they want to come back? Why would they want to be trapped? So they make it clear. We're gonna come back and be with you and be part of one and merge with you, but get out of Earth first. Get away. And other parts, will be there to help you. We'll be hey, we've been waiting for you. We've been lost. We wanted you to get us back, but you never thought about us. And here it is. You finally opened the communication, and they were there a loyal puppy waiting for you all those years. And they just wait for that, thank God you're here, thank you. And they get in touch with you and connect with you. And I've literally seen people in sessions where they've never had the visuals, they've never had the ability to perceive any entities or anything, and all of a sudden they imagine the sort of, okay, let's just think of it, and they get their personality to open their third eye, to have more visuals, to have more perception. And what happens in session, this lady is seeing millions of entities, millions of little beings, shoving away those entities back and getting in touch with her. So sometimes these parts of ourselves will be there to protect us from the entities. And they want to protect us. They want to feel safe. They want to be with you. They're your, I don't know, sentinels or guardians, or however you would call it. And sometimes we're worrying about hey, well, what if I get part of myself back, but I'm gonna get some bad entity and it's gonna possess me and stuff? No, some entities will want to come and mess with you, but what happens is your consciousness, you might not see it, but there's a war going on, and they do not want any wolf, any wolf and dressed up as sheep coming over. They're not gonna let that happen. And I've done sessions and I've been watching other people do sessions, and I can have a few people having a session with each other, and I'm just watching what happens. And some entities will try to get back, will try to dress up as white energy, loving, and all this stuff, and they dress up. And what happens? They're trying to get close, but part of who you are is clings off and sort of creates a shield, and they are not letting that part in. And I'm just watching a person they have their eyes closed, or sort of in that sort of meditative state, and they're doing the work, and I'm well, I feel something's here, but I cannot get it. And they're sort of in touch with it, but they feel this part that there's something supposed to be okay or good, it cannot come close. And they're and the lady gets the realization oh, I think it's here to deceive me. I think it's and all of a sudden she gets the cognition, and boom, these a part of your consciousness is able to get more power because you're more aware, so they get more power and they're able to defend you from all these entities. So just because we're doing this sort of process and calling something back doesn't mean that you're gonna get possessed and stuff. But please be careful, use some whatever kind of defensive methods or anything you can think of if you're scared of doing it. And if you're scared of getting possessed or something negative coming in, don't do this method. Don't do this and then blame me or something. I'm just saying it worked for me. It works for a lot of people that I've worked with. If you want to try it, go on. It's simple. And you can do it on the go wherever you are. You can be in school, at work, or doing something, and you're just maybe you're working, maybe you're doing something on your PC, maybe you're making lunch. And what you do is you focus on the part that you would like to have, or the part that you used to have, and you just invite it back. And you sort of maybe visualize it coming back to your crown chakra and just filling you up. And, when you get in touch with that part, it's always positive, and you know that it's good for you and it's right and it's part of you. If you get in touch and you're start questioning it, what if it's wrong? What if it's something you already picked up a hunch? Don't do it. Don't invite it. It's as simple as that. You know it. Your body picks up the part of your consciousness, and you know who's you, and you know who's there to deceive you and mess with you. So your ability to pick up the good stuff is simple. You pick it up, it feels good, you know what it's like, you know specifically what it is, because you're not going okay, I want all the good stuff to fill me up. What's all the good stuff? Is the disease a good stuff? Or describe it specifically. So in this method, when I'm doing this sort of calling my missing soul aspects back, I am very specific with what I want and what I need to have in my myself, my consciousness. And when I get to that part specific, it's easy. I know who it is. If you're doing all just generalities, I want the good I want the good parts of myself to fill me up, all the good stuff that I used to have in the past. What was the good stuff? Maybe you were enjoying some drugs and some bad entities when you were killing or doing something, and you were really angry and rageful, and you really enjoyed that. Was that good part of your life? Is that what you want to have? Be very specific. So when you're specific, you get exactly what you want and what you're asking for, and you're not gonna get possessed by any entities. Simple as that. But please pay attention and see if you want to do it. You don't have to call back, but it's simple to just open the communication and see if there's anyone else out there to help you out. And you can have part of yourself and merge with that part and now have more powers. And some people notice changes right away. They're sitting there and all of a sudden their personality changed. They feel much better. They feel more alive. And sometimes you can start feeling it after a few days, after a few weeks or months. So, here it is, a short video, right, for the 2 minutes. But hopefully it gives you some insights, and let me know if you try it and how it works, or just your thoughts about this whole subject. So looking forward to seeing your comments, and thank you for watching this video. Bye.